So yeah, moon magic if you wish. And always just taking that time at the beginning to just settle where you are. Maybe keeping the eyes open for a moment and just taking a look around. And for that, it's your eyes that are doing the first, like, you know, we move on the eyes almost. So they're just like going to take the first openings really, or lead us in the first openings in the body. It doesn't have to be too much, but just take a look over each shoulder if you can, down and up. And then see if you can start to be leading with the eyes, but you're not getting engaged with any story with anything you see. It's just shape and colour, sound. Just this space, this external space you find yourself in right here, right now. And when you're ready, you'll just gradually arrive in center. And you can either just let the eyelids drop gently, so you've just got a very dissipated view, or close them completely. And just for a moment, you can still see everything around. Reminding yourself of some of the things you looked at. Maybe you can even feel the distance where the walls are, ceiling. And that maybe from that space around you, you're looking back at this body. Aware of really inhabiting the internal space, the other side of the skin. And there's nothing to change. You've prepared this space, this time, right here, right now. Curious enough to keep gazing back towards this body from all angles. Just watching a gentle breath, nothing to manipulate. The arms hanging heavy out of shoulders. Maybe you could just imagine that there's a gentle hand at the back of the skull, and it's just encouraging a gentle lift in the back of the skull. Maybe two hands holding the head, cradling the head, so the weight of the head can just be held for you. It's a nice, natural, light lordosis, gentle, natural curve, lower back. And if you want to breathe in Ujjayi, just make it as gentle as you can. There's no force here. And if you're sitting on a cushion, maybe just sliding it to one side. Bringing one shin in front of the other, doesn't matter which one. Interlacing the fingers. And we're going to draw the heart space away from the palms, palms away from the heart space. Belly scoops back. And the head you can carry on to face forwards, or the head can hang down. And turn the palms forwards and get that lovely opening in the palms. So all of these things, up to you how much you open, or just gently move towards these things. Next inhalation, start restacking the spine from the base. So you're aware of that light lordosis. A sensation of rising up through this space within the skin, back of the neck long, and the arms might arrive above the head. And if you want to, you can really lengthen the sides of the waist. You can even draw the shoulders up at first, gazing up. And from here, draw the shoulder blades back down slowly. As you do that, feel how the abdomen draws in and up. And gaze over left and right shoulder. Bringing the face forwards. And as you do, turn the palms to face the crown. And you can have like softness through the wrists and the elbows. Gently release the fingers and let the arms drift away from each other. But we're kind of letting the left hand drift down and the right one up. And once the left fingers just land gently, really focus on the right side, rooting down in the right hip and sits bone. And maybe creep the left fingers out a little. It doesn't have to be too far. So we keep shortening the left side of the waist and potentially bringing the elbow down. So you're going to gauge how much you tip out or drop down. And just experience this moving through layers. This is right from the right hip, which you keep the sits bone on the mat. So you don't have to get the left elbow down. You're going to see where you get to. And gazing up and along the right arm towards the fingers. And you can turn the head and just noticing any movements. Do it slowly in the head because you'll feel this throughout that entire right side. Maybe looking down and up. So big, deep opening. And maybe you can draw the right arm back a bit. Not to strain, but just maybe you can open out a little before releasing. Right hand down to the left side and slowly bring the weight of the torso over the left thigh and rest there. And feel really heavy. Soft and fleshy and weighty. As much weight as you can sense in the body. And really, we're kind of like tapping into that quality of weight. Stay as low as you can as you walk the hands to the center. Again, really slowly because we've opened up deeply. Through many layers, walking up to where we started. And just change which shin is in the front. Closing the eyes, arms heavy. And again, just feel that the back of it's almost like their head is being lifted, either supported by two hands, imaginary hands. The jaw really releases. And interlace the fingers the other way this time, other index finger on the top, and draw heart and palms away from each other. And notice how you can observe what's going on from the space all around you, all that space we looked at when we started. From there, anywhere in your room, looking back at this body. But equally, you can actually experience the sensations of this body residing deep within. Turning the palms forwards, feeling that you're opening the palms, the wrists. And when you're ready on an in-breath, restacking the spine one vertebra at a time. You're really kind of conscious of each vertebra, the discs between. And as you're raising up, the shoulders can even lengthen up as you gaze up too. Once you've done that though, you can draw the shoulder blades back towards the waist and feel how this really re-engages you. Shoulders and hips kind of join towards each other. Abdomen draws back. And you can gaze over right and left shoulder. When you're back in center, palms towards the face, face forwards. And as the face comes forwards, releasing the fingers, let the arms drift out. Just checking, how do the shoulders move? These complicated joints, the shoulder socket. Right hand, the fingertips are just going to drift down, left arm out and up eventually. And at that point, you really connect through the left sits bone. So up first and event, in time, creeping the fingers out, right side, left side of the, no, right side of the waist, shortening. So it's more about dropping down whilst keeping the left sits bone down. Gazing up along the arm, creep the right hand out if you need to, potentially lowering the forearm. And if you find yourself like curling inwards, just have a little, can you look up and open this top arm out a bit? You can move the head slowly and see where it connects. Where do you feel this? And in your time, you're going to really lengthen the left arm down to the right side. Use the hands to help you release over all that sense of weight over the right side. And keep reminding yourself there is no particular place to be. You're more curious about watching. And walking hands to the center, stay as low as you can before back up the center line. And as you arrive there, circling shoulders. And have a really good explore all the way around. Fullness of the shoulder joint, maybe a little twist if you wanted to, or just turning the head, it's fine, circling the head. And gradually you'll be coming onto balance on the sits bones, maybe between coccyx and sits bones, and possibly shins parallel to the floor. And maybe arms alongside the lower legs. And it obviously you're leaning back a little, but you don't want to collapse. Like you don't want to have a big bowl shaped back. Think about sitting up tall and strong. So you could put the right toes down and lengthen the left leg and change. Come to the neutral place first, left toes down and lengthen the right leg. So you could do this a few times. You can try it with the front of the feet lengthened or flexed. You can, even if you wanted to, hold the leg and sit up tall against it. Releasing then head, neck and shoulders. And seeing if we can come back to our starting place, Navasana, the boat. Staying here, you could even bring the hands out as some support. Or maybe you can point the toes, extending the legs and the fingertips lengthen towards the toes. So either bring one or both feet down or none. Interlace the fingers behind the head. And you're going to slowly curl the upper body down. So we do want to do this carefully. So at some point, one leg or both legs down. So you can take your time lowering the entire spine down. And once the head lands, let the palms just come out wide of the torso, semi-supine. And bringing the left thigh towards the torso. And extend the right leg along the mat. And maybe it's hovering. You can either have it resting on the mat or hovering above. But back of the neck long, left thigh close to torso. And as we inhale, we raise the straight right leg towards the torso. Maybe in the pause or on the out breath, as soon as you come to it, you change legs. Extend the left leg along the mat. So you inhale the straight left leg close to torso, change on a pause or exhale. And you carry on. So you're not lowering the straight leg once it's up. you know, when you exchange, you're keeping that bend, you're extending it, keeping it as low as you can. So maybe another couple of these. So the next time you raise the left leg up, then bend the knee and keep both thighs on the torso. And you can circle the knees, maybe away from each other or the same direction. Just checking in with the hips that there's quite a nice loose movement here. Around. So the femur head feels like it is gliding in the sockets. Again, you could do one leg at a time. It doesn't matter if you like roll around a little. I want it to be how it feels right for you. And noticing if we keep the hands on the knees, how the shoulders join in with this as well. You're easing both of them really. And gradually coming to steady. And take the feet up. Flex the feet. And then we're going to rotate both legs outwards and inwards, keeping the feet flexed. If you've got quite a deep inner rotation, you need to widen the feet from each other. So outwards, and feel like the knees and the hips are part of this. Do this with the front of the feet long as well. Don't overpoint the toes, kind of spread the toes. So you can just flip between flexed feet, pointing. Until we come to flex. Stay with the flexed legs. And when you're ready, you're going to separate the space between the legs. Breathing steady, there's no rush. So it's not in one move. We're just going to be really conscious of how this feels as we widen that gap between the legs. And as you come in towards your end range of movement, lengthen the outside edge of the ankles and shorten the inside edge. So the soles are up. Back of the neck long, jaw relaxed. And when you get to your end range of movement, you finally come to a place you can't go any further. Then just soften. And maybe you get another drop in the hips by softening. Hands could come to the inside of the thighs. So coming out of this, we're going to let our left, bend the left knee. And as it comes under the right leg, you're going to take hold of that foot, and maybe your left hand holds the outside edge of the right knee. So coming into a twist. The left toes hook around the right fingers. Turn your head away to the right, basically. And lengthen the right side of the waist. See if we've sort of like got some kind of articulation around the hip still. We're not kind of stuck where we are. And I know for me to lengthen the right side of my waist, I have to root into the left shoulder. So when you're ready, exhaling out. And as you come out, let the outside edge of that right foot rest on the left knee. Realign, making sure your crown is in line with the tailbone before taking hold behind the left knee. And drawing the left thigh towards the torso. Keeping as much of the back of the body laid flat. And on an out breath, unravel, let both legs extend up. Flex and point, maybe rotate, just have a little look around the legs. How do you might even sometimes as well, if your knees get a little tight, you can just shake out a little bit before flexing the feet, starting to widen the gap between the inside of the legs. But also think about the length of from the inside, the groin area out towards the ankles. And as you're coming to your end range of movement, outside edge of the ankles are long, inside legs, inside of the ankles shorter. Maybe ujjayi, light ujjayi. When you've been at your end range, soften and just see if that gives you another, like a deeper release in the hips. And again, we're not exactly looking for these things to happen, but just being open to them maybe happening. So coming out of this the other way is going to be your left hand is taking hold of the right foot underneath the left leg. Right hand comes to the outside edge of the left knee. You come into this like starfish twist. And any tiny adjustments to comfort, thinking how a starfish moves, or any kind of, sea an enemy, the tiniest of moves, really subtle from an inner place. Head turning to the left, maybe. And when you're ready to come out on an out breath, you're kind of like rolling back, and the right knee is going to pick up the outside edge of the left foot. Make sure your crown and tailbone in line with each other before taking hold behind the right knee. And as you draw the thigh, we're not curling the tailbone up, lengthening the spine, shoulders broad and as flat as possible, the same with the hips. And when you come out of this, releasing, but this time into semi-supine, feet land. And you can let the hands settle wide of the body or on the hips or belly. Or alongside the body, palms down, really up to you. And we're just going to start with some, because we're going to do a shoulder balance fairly soon. I just want to make sure the entire length of the spine, right up to the shoulders and neck as well, feeling good. So, but we're releasing the upper area by focusing on the lower at first. So when you exhale, this is gathering to the navel, and you're pressing the small of the back down, really drawing the belly back. When you inhale, just soften and release. Inhale to the coccyx. So that's all you're doing. That's where this movement, and even how it sort of grows, starting here. So if you wanted to include hands and arms, bring them alongside the body. Next time you inhale towards the coccyx, the arms raise above the crown. You exhale, the belly draws back, flattening lower back. The tailbone might even lift a little. Arms come back alongside the body before inhaling. Palms above the crown, rolling to coccyx. You can carry on with this. And just feel how everything is included here, all the way through the core, into the shoulders. Let the head yield to this. So probably on your out breath, your chin will go up, the throat kind of opens, and when you, on the out breath, on the in breath, the chin relaxes, back of the neck lengthens. You could even draw the legs up too. So when the arms come to hover above the floor, you're actually curling forehead and knees towards each other. Inhaling, feet back down, hands above. Still rolling to coccyx. So it's all happening from deep within the core. So there's all different things you can do. Then you can play around with them, mix them up. You can even inhale, extend the legs. Legs and arms away from each other, long, long lines before exhaling back. So there's a real intention here in this, all of this, to identify with the core. We need it in our shoulder balance. So next time you exhale and you're in this curl, the upper body's off the mat, and if it isn't, see if you can, just for this time, interlace the fingers behind the head and extend the feet up. Pause here for a moment. And when you're ready, on an out breath, you're going to release one vertebra at a time, all the way through the shoulders. That your hands are going to encourage the back of the neck to be long, releasing the head down. And let the hands drift maybe towards the thighs. Or you can let them come alongside the thighs, fingertips on the floor, ready to inhale, pushing fingertips, roll the knees towards the forehead, bend the elbows to support your back. Walk the elbows towards each other, hands towards the shoulder blades. So really taking time, there's no need to go any further. You might like to take extend one leg at a time, so the toes towards the floor in front of the crown. Just so we make sure we're lengthening the hamstrings, the calves. And then let yourself lower down and maybe bring the palms down before you do. One vertebra at a time. Through the shoulders, keep the back of the head on the floor. And you end up with the feet floating above the hips. And just checking in for all sensation back of the body. If you want to roll the head gently, you can. Broadening shoulders. Maybe bring your hands to the knees. And just have a little, make sure the knees aren't sort of like locked at all. And a little massage. And we can gently point the toes as well. So just like you've got these nice long lines at the front of the legs, but spread the toes. And on an inhalation, we're going to creep the fingers up towards the ankles. And the chin curls towards the collarbones. And interlace the fingers behind the head, the other interlace this time. You might even want to draw your forearms towards the temples. See if that gives you a bit more security. As on an out breath, you lower one vertebra at a time once more. Releasing the hands out. Maybe to bring them to the Surya gesture, fingertips either side of the hips. And on an in-breath, pushing fingertips, rolling knees towards the forehead. And do it like this time, walking the elbows together, towards each other, hands down towards the shoulder blades. And just like when we were sitting and we lengthen the head away from the neck, really. You can do that again. So the chin is away from the collarbones a little. Maybe this time we'd like to inhale the legs up. Think about the length from the groin, the inside, the thighs, all the way up to the base of the big toes. And it could be that right now doesn't feel right to you. So it's just got you keep the feet floating above the hips. That's amazing. So we're going to pause here a little bit. So I'm going to trust you to come out if you need to. That looks great, everyone. Otherwise, let's maybe place yourself somewhere in the room outside of the body, looking back at this body curiously. Just observing the breath move. This beautiful body and this space. And then bring your attention to the actual experience of it, the internal experience. And it's like you can be in both places at the same time. What does that even feel like? To be both the observer and the one experiencing. Beautiful. So let's see if we can bring the arms down along the mat that's supporting you. And it doesn't matter if you start drawing the toes in front of the crown. They don't have to land, but perhaps you do get all the way into Halasana, toes on the floor. But you've got your arms. If you push into them, they're going to support the legs, even if the legs are parallel to the floor. And when you're ready, you're going to lower the spine, one vertebra at a time. Breathing steadily. Keep the back of the head on the floor if you can. And as you come out of it, eventually you're going to take hold behind the knees. And roll up gently and onto all fours, but just do that in your time. Remember, there's no rush. And as you arrive on all fours, each of us finds a way to ease out any sort of tensions we brought in. But hopefully not too many. Hopefully we'd already opened enough for the body to move into that. And because a lot of this has been really expanding through the fascia, connective tissue, soft tissue, really expansive moves, we're just going to try and really feel that sense of stabilizing and drawing all back. So tucking the right toes and just slide the toes along the mat behind you. And breathing here is enough. You just keep finding space in the hips, shoulders, rooting down into both hands like you're almost pushing into them a bit. And raise the right leg. So the heel's about in line with the hip. Flex the foot. Or you could point it, but just don't over point the toes. Draw them back a bit. And then we're gonna, if you want to extend the left arm, but draw the shoulder blade back towards the waist. And it could even be to opposite hip. You could tune into the diagonals here. It could be both shoulder blades drawing towards the hips. Feel how the front of the torso supports the back. And on an out breath, releasing, have a wriggle. And just do the other side. Left toes slide back along the mat. So there's no rush to move on. You want to get the sense of which parts of your body are supporting you here. Obviously, everything that's is contacting with the mat is, but there's this also drawing back towards the navel, front of the body supporting the back, shoulders drawing back towards the hips or connecting with them. Raising the left heel in line with the torso, pointing or flexing. And in your time, extending the right arm. And breathing here. Keeping as steady as you can. Nice. And when you sense you've heard that equally, come out on an out breath, tucking the toes, down dog and a wriggle. And walking your way forwards, do hang. And maybe interlace the fingers behind the head. Forearms gently pressing against the temples or towards them. And you're going to push your way up, pushing through the feet. Do it slowly over the course of a few breaths, drawing the belly back. Feel every muscle engage along the way. And in your time arriving in Tadasana. And from Tadasana, right arm up. And you're going to keep finding that space on the right side. So you're rooting down into the right foot, up into the right fingertips. And as you're doing that, the left arm is starting to drop down, really heavy down the left side. And the more we open the right side, the left arm dangles up its own shoulder. And at any point, if you feel you need the security of the left arm tight against the torso, do bring it in. Sometimes it's quite nice. You might even go on a deeper, tipping over to the left, but then see if you can let go of the arm dangling. You can even shake it up the shoulder a bit. Looking up to the top arm and along it to a point that suits you throughout the whole body. And maybe we can all draw the left arm alongside the body, or you can actually even take that arm behind the back. So the back of the left hand is kind of over the back of the right hip. And then draw your right arm back a bit, looking up. And on an in-breath, coming back to stand, and as you breathe out, drifting into Tadasana. And eyes closed if you can, and pausing here. And just being in all the feedback, all sensation. So left arm drifts up. And as it's drifting up, you're already rooting down strongly into that left foot. The right arm hangs. So it's, the fingertips move away from each other, really. You can shake this right arm out of the shoulder if that suits you, or hold it firm against the right side. And you just keep going, exploring this, gazing up along the left arm. It doesn't matter if the left arm ends up coming alongside the head. And you might even at some point hold against the right side of the body with the right arm, or the back of the right hand behind the left hip. And so you're not drawing the hip back, you'll keep that hand is keeping that hip forward, you're drawing the shoulder back, opening the upper body. So it's quite unusual. And on an in-breath, you would come back carefully to exhale, let the arms drift into Tadasana. And feel how the arms seem to just float down from and out from the shoulders. So even though we orient the tailbone down, it's not really pushing it down. It's not the same as tucking it under. We still want the natural lordosis really in the lower back. And actually it's more like, it's just like a firmness around the hips and down the legs into the feet. And when we inhale, we're going to let the backs of the wrists raise up. You can even look up. And when you exhale, bend the knees to release the hands, the palms to the floor if you can, and the head hangs. So if you're practicing in the evening, it's left foot back, you inhale back. If it's in the morning, right foot back. So stepping back on your next in-breath, let the knee land. Top of the foot land, and let the hips hang a moment. Maybe walk the hands up onto the front knee. And feel that you're really like broad across the chest. Before bringing the hands back down, it might be fingertips or the hands. We're tucking the back toes under and lengthening into that heel. So the leg straightens off the floor, coming onto fingertips. And as you do, even though we've got a weight over this front thigh, we're not completely collapsed on it. The front line of the abdomen, of the torso, is supporting the back. And if you can take the hands off the floor, you can then maybe lengthen them the head of the crown. Stay here, or let the hands back down, or possibly push in the front leg to straighten it. And you come all the way up. The back heel is still off the floor. It's not exactly warrior, but you could bring the palms together, two straight legs, tall and thin for a moment, before releasing back on an out breath. Think about your rooting into that back heel. The torso lengthens over the front thigh, the front of the abdomen, and torso is supporting the back before you bring the hands down. Staying here, or maybe bring the left arm to the outside edge of the right knee. Palms together. And as you bring the palms together, widening the elbows from each other, the hands coming to heart, it might bring you into a twist. And obviously you would come out of that when you're ready, and on an out breath, stepping back into down dog and have a wriggle. And we're going to go through a series of Uddiyana Bandhas in different positions. So lowering the knees and take time to just settle back onto the heels. It could be the tops of the feet are on the floor. If it suits you better, the toes can be tucked under. At some point, you raise up to kneel. And the knees aren't excessively wide, but we've been looking at these triangular shapes lately anyway. So our first Uddiyana Bandha, and just to remind you, it's when we take that fake inhalation, scooping the belly back and up. You might feel the tug in the throat. So we inhale together through the nostrils. Make a small circle with the lips and blow out as you, or through the lips as you lower down. And you fully, really completely exhale. And you push in the hands, take a fake inhalation as you sit back up. Pushing strong in the arms. Everything in the abdominal cavity draws back and up behind the ribs. And you release the lock before the in-breath comes. And exhale, sliding back into downward dog. We can have a little wriggle and a pause. You can stay here, you can rest in pose of the child, or if you can do the second Uddiyana Bandha, on the in-breath, you look forwards as you shift the weight of the shoulders over the wrists. Make a small circle in the mouth and exhale, blow through the mouth as you come back into down dog. The belly naturally becomes concave and you take a fake inhalation. So each one of these is going to feel different in you. Make sure you release any locks before the actual in-breath comes, and when the in-breath comes, walk forwards. Do hang over bent knees, and you can even widen the feet. To prepare for the Uddiyana Bandha in this one, what we end up doing is having the hands on the legs and really sucking the belly back. It's a whole other experience. But to prepare for that, interlace the fingers at the tailbone and squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, extending the arms. So that when you do release the hands to the thighs, you might feel, you feel good through the shoulders. When we inhale, we're going to just raise up a little as we inhale through the nostrils. Blow through the mouth on the out breath as you hang back down. When you've fully exhaled, you take your fake inhalation, push in the hands. And you really get a sense of, like, it might even for you be the abdominal line protrudes forwards and you're really sucking in at the sides. And if that happens to you, and if the tug at the throat, maybe just wriggle the hips side to side and you'll get the Noli Bandha, the circling, the strong muscle line. But just the fake inhalation is enough. When you're ready to release, you inhale, float up on the in-breath. Tadasana. So we're going to do all of that again. Inhale the wrists up. Even looking up if you want to. And exhale, bend the knees to bring the palms down. Evening, you take the right foot back. Morning, take the left foot back on the next in-breath. Hips hang. Top of the foot's on the floor, the back foot. Bring the hands onto this front knee for a moment. And we're going to release the hands back down, tuck in the back toes and lengthen into the right heel. Come on to fingertips maybe. All of these places perfectly fine. There's already a lot of work going on for the front and back of the body, drawing towards each other to support each other. And if you can take the hands off the floor, maybe extend the arms ahead of the crown. Draw the shoulders back to the waist and push in the front foot. Keep breathing steadily, straightening that front leg. Back heel stays off the floor. We're not bringing it to the floor. Keep your gaze steady, maybe palms together, tall and thin, before coming out on an out breath. Lengthen into the back heel. And maybe this time, right arm to the outside edge of the left knee. Palms together. And as you bring them to the heart, the elbows widen from each other. And it will make you twist. It creates the twist. Well done. So when you think you've held it equally this time, you release out, and on an out breath, you step back into down dog for a wriggle. That's where we're going to meet. And even as you just pause in down dog, there's nothing to actually do in the abdomen. Notice how it naturally creates an Uddiyana Bandha. It's light concaving. So we're going to go through those 3 different positions for Uddiyana Bandha. So knees wider, kneel back in some way, toes tucked under or not. And you can ease your way into that. The hands on the thighs. And we take an inhalation through the nostrils. Release the breath through the mouth as you bend forward. Fake inhale when you're ready, pushing in the hands. Releasing before you inhale. And exhale into down dog. And when you're ready, you inhale. Your weight forwards, looking forwards. And exhale, blow through the mouth, back into down dog. Aware of the natural Uddiyana Bandha and just maybe intensify that on a fake in breath. See if we can hold it a little longer this time. Always coming out before I say if you want to. And definitely releasing locks before the in-breath comes. And when it does, walk forwards on the in-breath to hang. We'll meet there. It's coming a little bit. So then you widen the feet a little when you're hanging. Interlace the fingers at the tailbone. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other. The chest opens. It's really up to you to how you explore that. You might hang down. At some point, we're going to release that interlace, hands on the thighs. And on an in-breath, pushing the feet, just to inhale through the nose, you float up a bit. Exhale through the mouth to hang. Fake inhale, pushing in the arms. Straight, strong arms. The belly scoots back. Maybe everything scoops around the sides of the abdominal, all the abdominal muscles, all the way from the ribs to the pubic bone. Maybe tiny little shift the hips side to side, and you might get that sense of churning around the organs in the abdomen. Releasing any locks, and you float up on the actual in-breath into Tadasana. And we meet here. Closing the eyes. So either to stay here in Tadasana moment, or we're just going to do a more fluid Surya Namaskaram. Moving on the breath. And it can even be that you take the arms back a bit. Just think about how we're going to inhale them up, and maybe this becomes a bit of a back bend. It's really up to you. Exhale, bend the knees to hang. Inhale, left foot back in the evening. Exhale, hang here, or maybe walk the hands onto the front knee. Stay here, or inhale, the arms floating up. Try not to raise the shoulders though. And exhale, step back, down dog. When you inhale, really root into hands and feet. Feel the natural Uddiyana Bandha. And exhale, knees, tops of the feet, tailbone drifts back. Creep the fingers forwards as you're looking forwards. Ready to inhale, pull yourself through. Elbows come to the waist. And you exhale, down dog. Jump or walk forwards on the in-breath. to hang. All the way to the end of an out breath, look forwards and inhale, pushing the feet, arms out wide and up. Palms meet. And we're going to exhale all the way down the center line. So just different to hang. Inhale, right foot back. Maybe exhale, hands onto the front knee and stay here possibly. Or when your in-breath comes, let the arms float up. They may come back. You might get a back bend with the chest opening. Exhale, downward dog. Spread fingers, toes, and inhale to soles and palms. And exhale, knees, tops of the feet, tailbone. Creeping fingers forwards, look forwards. And inhale, pull yourself through as low as you can. Elbows to the waist. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, jump or walk forwards to hang. And just follow an inhalation out, listening and watching, so experiencing the move as well as watching it from beyond the body. Arriving in Tadasana. So hands at heart space. And shifting weight to the left foot. And bring the right toes to the floor. You can close the eyes for a moment. And then just gently reopening them. So you've just got a very steady gaze, downward gaze, but along the floor a bit. Rotate the right knee out, the hip out, without taking the hip back. And start to bring the foot up the inside of the left leg until you get to around the knee and bend the left knee. Place the outside edge of the right foot in front of the knee. And take the right palm out to the right. So you're pressing into both palms and maybe slide your left palm to the right shoulder. And maybe turning away to the left, over left shoulder. So the dance of Shiva, coming out on an out breath when you're ready. And pause, maybe just, pad through the feet, easing out any tensions. So we'll do the other side, hands at heart space. Left toes on the floor. You've shifted the weight to the right side and foot. Close the eyes a moment. And you can open them again, or you can try and keep them closed until you need to open them. Rotate the left knee out. The hip, and you're keeping the hips level, though you're not taking that hip with you. And when you feel steady, drawing the foot up to around the knee, bending the right knee and place the outside edge of the left foot in front of the right knee. And maybe left palm, pressing it out of the shoulder. Sliding the right hand to in front of the shoulder. Both wrists are flexed. And maybe gazing to the right, over the right shoulder. Beautiful. You would exhale out when you're ready. Really nice. And once more, hands at heart space. And we're going to fold forwards from the hips as we take the palms forwards. Do this really steadily, because you're going to think about, we're trying to bring the spine parallel to the floor. So you start bending the knees and taking the hips, sit bones back. The front of the body, rather than collapsing down, actually draws back. It might even almost feel like you've got an arch in the spine, but in fact, it's bringing you more parallel. Creep the inside of the legs together. Now you can come to sit down from here if you want to, and lay down in semi-supine, or you can bring the left arm to the outside edge of the right leg, hands to the heart, And just check that your crown is in line with the center of the big toes. And the two sides of the body squeezing towards the center line. It's for support, it's not a tension. Inhale back to Ardha Utkatasana. And when you're ready, right arm to the outside edge of the left knee, hands to heart, just gazing down that your crown is in the center line of the toes. Brilliant. Inhaling back to Ardha Utkatasana. And imagine you're holding a rope here and you're going to sit down. You could, if you want to, interlace the hands behind the head. And if you haven't got lots of room in front of you, creep the buttocks back before continuing to curl down. You might like the whole thing, holding a rope. Sometimes that imaginary rope helps lower you down. And when you land this time, widen the heels, prop the knees together, hands over the front of the hips. Well done. And just settling into the sensation, along all sensations along the spine, shoulders broadening. And reinterlace the fingertips behind the head or link the thumbs ahead of the crown. Extend the legs. Roll, keep the feet flexed and roll the inner thighs towards each other. And just explore these long lines. Again, it could be the hands behind the head. And on an out breath, start to bring the arms forwards or curling up. If your hands are behind the head, that might help you just get to wherever you do. And then that becomes your in-breath all the way up. And we come into the diamond gesture with our feet. And we don't want too tight a diamond here. It's not going to help us in any way. We want to just be able to bring the hands to in front of the knees, really. And on an out breath, just collapse towards the sacrum. So you really release towards it, nice and slow. The head hangs. You're not going anywhere. Your arms, your hands where they are supporting you. And when you're ready to inhale, restack the spine, rolling over the frontal hip bones. Think of that nice lordosis lower back. Doesn't matter if the head hangs back, if that feels natural to you. And then you exhale. Again, this movement starts at the tailbone, rolling to the lower back. Feel that release through the mid back, the shoulders, the head hangs. And carry on for a few more rounds. You can pause in like an empty space, a retained out breath, Vaya Kumbhaka. And you can pause in the retained in-breath, Anta Kumbhaka, full pot, empty pot. Really hang. And again, can you come to that point where you're watching this just from a space beyond the body, looking back? Next time you exhale, can you continue on to just consider before you actually do it? No, you've got your things around, you're preparing for your final Shavasana. Maybe you want the feet down, you could hold behind the head. You can lift the limbs off the floor. It's up to you to how you allow yourself to arrive in your final Shavasana. Maybe a cushion under your head. Maybe an eye pillow, blanket. But really without disturbing the quality that you've arrived at. And as you're preparing, if you have the playlist, Moon Magic, perhaps you could find Soul Merge. I think it's about to come on anyway if we have it at the similar time. But as you lay down, we're all, going to do it slightly differently. Maybe you could just press play on the one called Soul Merge. So anything you need to do to make the tiniest of adjustments to more and more comfort. This space of non-doing, there is nothing left to do at all. This really is all observing, being open to what you experience too. Sensations, the different landscapes really. These territories we navigate really when we're awake, when we're asleep, when we're conscious and unconscious. So if you're in Ujjayi breath, drop Ujjayi breath. There's no manipulation needed at all. Just have the eyes closed gently and the eyeballs sink heavy. The jaw becomes really slack and the tongue rests heavy or back. And you're just aware of the breath appearing, disappearing. It might be really barely obvious, especially if you're somebody that can drop and let go quite quickly. There's hardly a need to breathe. Just allow the breath to be breathed. And in an effortless body, that's barely at all. And any breath there is as light as a feather. And maybe you can even visualize a feather and a very, very gentle breeze. How that might move, what that might be like. Aware of the space around you and the sounds. Aware of being able to observe this moment from beyond this body. Kind gaze over it all. And all this body carries from all those territories we explore. And aware of any sensation at heart center that you've been wide open to simply noticing and receiving and experiencing what is beyond particular desire or conditioning. Wide open to this moment here now and now and now. And that from this space, heart space, casting a gentle eye over the whole of this experience from when we started, not thinking it, just realizing the layers, physical, mental, emotional, memories you've passed through. To come to this point, beyond any doing, without expecting an answer, just dropping the question to heart space, who am I? What is this? Bring your awareness to the right hand, just noticing it. The left hand, noticing it. Left thumb, right index finger left, left middle finger right, right ring finger left, left little finger right, both palms. And the right foot, left foot, left big toe right, second right toe left, third left toe right, fourth right toe left, the little left toe, and the right little toe. And each of the toes, the space around them, within them, sensations from the soles of the feet traveling up through lower legs, upper legs, pelvic bowl, abdominal cavity, chest cavity, both shoulders, the fullness of both shoulders. And to each of the fingers, both hands, the space within and around them, sensations in the palms, and traveling up along lower arms and upper arms to the shoulders. And maybe resting around the throat center. Into the back of the throat, sensing the tongue where it rests, the whole of the head, and the freedom of thoughts to travel all directions beyond the skull, no limits. All directions, all realms, past, future, imaginary, dreams, memories. And back to heart space. And casting the kind eye of the heart over the whole experience, this one experience, this moment. Body, breath, mind, one experience. And when you're ready, just more attention on the breath. Allowing fuller breaths. Maybe gentle wriggles with the breaths. Feel how the in-breath travels right out to the extremities again, and you can wriggle them. Maybe rolling the head. And gently rolling over onto your side. Either side, remaining in the quality you've arrived at. And allow yourself, when you come up to sit, to feel that you float up to sit. You come up lighter, more spacious. And really, it's whatever is going on out there in some way. Actually, this is our natural being, calm, quiet, still. We can always come here to restore. So keep your mute for a moment for our invocation. But bringing hands to heart space. And they can be like gently, slightly sort of like that, sort of like a lotus flower, or palms touching. So our peaceful invocation really is for peace, well-being to all beings, all realms. If you want to join, inhale. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. I will unmute you. Oh no, I can't, can I? You have to do that. It's auto good, I can't. So well done. I know I need to stop.